topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Good afternoon, Georgia. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show. Oh my God, I am so excited. We have started doing TikTok now, which I should have jumped on it long ago. And I just got an email from them that one of our last shows had over 16,000 people watching it. That is pretty amazing since we're brand new to TikTok. And we will be doing or showing today's shows next week on TikTok. Our first expert, and when I say expert, this friend of mine, is truly an expert when it comes to tax relief. Barry's been with me for about 10 years, and thank God I do not need his service. But if I ever did, this is the company, this is the man. I wouldn't even waste a second. I would call right away. Let me introduce you to my friend, Barry Fowler of Taxation Solutions.
Hey, Steve.
How about that one, Barry?
Man, that's great. That's great. I wish I could be online with you. I'm kind of traveling today, so I've been kind of running and gunning. Actually, I've been in Mobile, Alabama, and then I'm heading my way up into Georgia. Since we're online in Georgia, I'm going over to our office over there in Atlanta and talking to
they're getting bad weather there
and everything.
Did you know they're getting bad weather there too?
My pace down. Yeah.
So,
okay,
Barry,
kind of slowing my pace down. But I have to be on here with you.
How long have you had Taxation Solutions?
Taxation Solutions started back in 2008, I believe. So we've been helping taxpayers for a very long time. We developed this company and set up this company mainly because of how brutal the IRS was getting at that time on taxpayers, and they're getting back to being as brutal as they were back in 2008 through 2000 and basically 19 or 20 right before COVID hit. And, you're seeing now, how many people they're hiring, and they're hiring people that just have no clue what in the heck they need to do or how to treat their clients, which is you and I, the taxpayers. So, the need for us is really great out there, and they're starting to send out more and more letters and more nasty grams. We see more and more wage garnishments, more and more levies on, their bank account, and contractors who sometimes get hit the worst. They go after the people that are actually paying them. They're getting 1099 pay, and they don't garnish like they do a paycheck. They take the whole thing. So it's gotten really bad out there right now.
I thought about you the other day. They were talking about the IRS, that they've really geared it up and they're coming after people. And one of the things, Barry, that I want people to learn from this show is not to try to handle this themselves. They need a professional, someone like yourself, who's been doing this for a long time, who can get a hold of the IRS. Just try getting a hold of them. I mean, Barry has been working with these agents for a long time. And let me tell you what I've learned from Barry. You get on the phone with the IRS and you could really damage yourself, right, Barry?
Oh, yeah. You got to watch what you say. when the IRS is talking to you, they're trying to find out every single bit of information about you. Not only that, they're trying to find ways to, levy you, put the liens on you, garnish your wages, all that stuff that isn't fun. It makes you nervous because when you see the letters that the IRS is sending, and they're sending out, a notice of intent to levy. They're coming after your bank account. They're sending out the next notice, final notice of intent to levy. Within 30 days, they're going to take everything you have. And you don't know exactly what day it is, but I can almost guarantee it's going to be the day your payroll hits, and they're going to take all that as well. And then what do you do when you pay, got to pay your mortgage, you got to pay your rent, or you got to pay your insurance bill. It really devastates families. And that's why you got to always be ahead. And I don't mean to scare people. And that's not what this is about. It's about right now getting prepared and doing something to face this debt before the IRS gets to that point. Because we don't want them to get to that point. We don't want them to be levying your bank account and taking what you have, because then it's just too late. So you've got to take a step back and say, hey, I've got to man up. I've got to deal with this problem. This monkey is sitting on my back, the IRS, is devastating not just my life, but my wife's life and children's life. And, everything you do is now worried what the IRS is going to do, instead of saying, hey, I've got somebody that's going to control the IRS, somebody that's going to work with us, somebody that I can trust and go through and do. And that's why, Steve, I do these shows because, I want to get information out. I want to help people. If you want to do it yourself, we're going to try to give you a little bit of information to help you get started doing it yourself. I don't recommend it, but there's a lot of people that, believe in, hey, do it yourself. I believe a lot in doing it myself too, but then my wife, when I get involved in doing it, like I get doing plumbing, as soon as I'm done, my wife calls the plumber because they got to come in and fix my problem, and I just made it 10 times worse. So I've kind of learned my lesson, hey, sometimes you don't want to do it yourself. And the IRS is the same thing. But, here with you and Ask the Experts and what we do, we offer that free consultation. But the only way we can do that free consultation is you pick up that phone and call us at 888-930-1016. And if you're online watching this, you can see the scroll down at the bottom, and it's taxationsolutions.net. And again, that phone number was 888-930-1016. Hey, you know what? That phone call doesn't cost you anything. It's toll free. There's no fee to do that consultation and talk to you about what the problem is and what we can do for you or what you can do for yourself. And, we're going to be honest. If it's something that, hey, you should handle yourself, we're going to tell you. If it's something that you really need us, we're going to tell you that this is what we need to do, and we need to get started immediately. Here in Atlanta, I've got a real good referral source. Is a young lady that's a CPA here in Atlanta, and going out there to visit with her, she's referred numerous clients to us, but she's got business clients that owe $80,000 to $100,000. And so, we're working with them to put a plan in place to solve their problem and get the IRS off the back. But it had to start with that free phone call to keep things moving and figure out what we can do. So don't hesitate. See, well, you and I have talked about this, but here at Taxation Solutions, we have a no judgment zone. We've pretty much heard it all. If you come up with something good, better than anything else I've heard, you and I are going to talk about it, and it might even make one of our shows.
Yeah. Barry, I got to tell you, we've been doing this show, you and I, for a long time. And I got to tell you, I hear something in your voice. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but all these new agents out there, and all you hear about is how they're going after people. I hear a little difference in your voice on the way the IRS has been handling it, right before the pandemic and during the pandemic. But it sounds like they're really coming down on people now.
Oh, they're ramping it up. We're starting to see more and more IRS letters coming out. trying to collect the debt. They say they're only going after people that are making, $400,000 or above. When we look at that, we know what that is. It's not what your taxable income is on your tax return, because you're a contractor, you're running a business. You may be, grossing, 400,000. You may be grossing $1 million, but that doesn't mean your net income. But you're a target,
right?
And that's what the IRS is looking at. And if you're a W-2 taxpayer, they're probably being a little bit more lenient on what's going on, but you probably don't owe that much. But maybe that 1 year you did a retirement withdrawal, or maybe 1 year they had you on contract work, and now you owe a bunch of money, and you made gross maybe 400,000, but your net may have been way down in 50,000 or something. They're looking at you. That's what they're taking a look at, because they think everybody has their money. So everything you have is theirs. And I always make a joke. That's why it's called the IRS. You put that together, theirs. They think everything is theirs.
Barry, I got the saddest letter from a viewer who we always start promoting the show a week out, and he knew you were coming on today. This gentleman is 82 years old. He said he hasn't filed for taxes in the last 10 years. Because of his age, will they still come after him?
Well, Steve, so here's the thing, being that old, depending on what other work he has, he may have to file. He may not have to file if he's just on Social Security. If he's got a lot of other assets, yes, he needs to be concerned, because if he does, something happens to him, all the money that he owes the IRS would take out of any inheritance that he would give to any of his heirs. So what we want to do is we want to jump in and we want to protect him. We want to get him into, if he qualifies. And I say that very much in that way. If he qualifies, we would look at possibly putting him what would be an offering compromise and get rid of the debt. Or we might go into offering compromise effective tax administration and get the IRS off the back and get the debt relieved. Because we want to see if we can get rid of the debt as much as possible, if there is any. If he's just on Social Security, he probably doesn't need to file. If he's been making withdrawals from from IRAs or 401ks or any retirement plans, he would have to file. But it may not be as bad as he thinks. So the first thing we want to do with him is actually sit down and go through the analysis we do, but then we want to go through a transcript analysis and look at his transcripts and see what the IRS has. And we got discounts for people that are senior citizens that we offer to our friends.
I kind of figured you would, Gary. I figured you would.
We also got discounts for military people. We love the military and people that have been in the military. We offer them discounts. So, we're here to help. We want to see, people relieved from the stress of the IRS, but we also want to see them relieved from the debt that they owe the IRS. And, the funny thing, Steve-O, is, people think the IRS sends you a letter and that is the correct number and you owe it. So maybe they say you owe $50,000. Well, a lot of times we go in and file a return for them or amend their return or just file the original return because they didn't do it. And we get that debt reduced just because we did a actual return instead of the return the IRS does for itself. Or we find where the IRS made errors and we get it corrected and we get the debt wiped out, gone away. You don't have to deal with it. Just because the IRS says it doesn't make them right. They think they're right, but it doesn't make them right. So there's many options we have to help correct the situation with the IRS.
Barry, you don't have to be embarrassed. I mean, you see hundreds, thousands of these every year, but it seems like a lot of people are embarrassed that they didn't pay their taxes. But like you always say, you know, there's no fault zone.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those things. You know, you're not sitting down at Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving, or Memorial Day weekend dinner or barbecue or whatever with family and having to talk about your tax problem. You're calling us. You're calling our office. You know, we offer that free consultation, no judgment zone, kind of relief and therapy, you might call it, that we offer, you know, at our office. You know, we don't want you to be embarrassed. Life happens. You know, we understand. You know, you weren't doing it necessarily on purpose. Things do happen in life. And I give you a good example is we had a contractor that came in just this week that owed $75,000. And, you know, we could tell talking to him, he was kind of embarrassed talking to us. And yeah, he got himself in the situation, doesn't know how to get himself out of it. His wife is mad at him. And he just doesn't know what to do. And he admitted he was afraid to call anybody. But he did call us. But what happened to him was he didn't have somebody to help him through tax planning or what he should do being in a small business as a contractor. And he didn't know he had to make estimated tax payments because nobody ever told him. He went to one of those, shopping areas where they have the, tax preparer that just sits in there and prepares taxes.
Yes.
Tax season. I won't name names.
Yes.
And he went in, and that's where he's got his taxes done for years. And he went in and did his taxes. He owed $30,000. He goes, "How can this be?" They said, "I don't know. It's just what you owe." And he walked out. He didn't file the return. So of course that return, when the IRS then does a SFR, substitute for a return, came out owing $50 plus penalties and interest. Well, that is a problem we can deal with real simple. Well, the next year he didn't file because he was afraid that if he filed, the IRS would start coming after him. Well, the IRS didn't notify him right away that he was going to owe that money. It took the IRS 3 years to get there. So he spent those couple of years doing contract and went back to W-2 and went back to filing. Well, now all of a sudden the IRS is sending him notices and letters and levies and everything else, and he's just downright embarrassed. Life happens. Don't be embarrassed. Pick up that phone and call us. Let us work through the problem. Let us solve it. I mean, we're getting to him and talking to him. I think we've got enough expenses. We're going to get that debt way down just filing the actual returns for those 2 years. And then we'll work on, how we're going to deal with the rest of it. It doesn't look like he's going to have a lot of money left over every month by the time we get done revamping his financial situation to where he'll pay more than $50 or $100 a month. But again, hey, I have to throw the disclaimer, and I'm not really fast at it, and I'll be slow. Not every situation can be that way. Some situations you're going to have to full pay, and there's nothing we can do about it because you have the wherewithal, the money, the income, the assets to be able to do that, and the IRS is going to look at that and put that all in place. But you know what? You don't know, and we're really, as you and I have talked about many a times, is we'll turn more away that want us to do an offering compromise that we tell them they don't qualify and somebody else told them they did. And we'll tell them, "Hey, I'm sorry, we're just not going to go down that route because you don't qualify, and here's why." That's part of that free consultation. But that can't happen, as you know, unless somebody actually picks up that phone and calls us or goes to our website and asks for contact. Even show up on our Facebook page, Taxation Solutions. We've got 50 offices around the country. We've got an office in Atlanta. We've got an office in Mobile, Alabama. And so no matter where you're at, we've got offices available that we deal with the IRS out of that, we're there available to you. But you got to pick up the phone and call us at 888-930-1016. Again, 888-930-1016. I got people standing by, and if our phones are really busy, I've got people you'll leave messages with, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. We want to make this easy, seamless. We want to take the stress out of your life, out of your wife's life. And you know what? Because you're stressing, your kids are stressing, and they can feel it, they can see it. Let's stop the stress in the house and put it on our shoulders. Let us stress for you. Let us take care of this and get the IRS off your back. You know, we've got really cool things that we do. We have a little tax monkey that we call, you know, IRS tax monkey, and it's on your back. Well, that's what we're going to get off your back. We're going to stop the IRS and let you live your life.
Barry, you know what? It is such a great feeling for people that when they sign with you and they no longer have to talk to the IRS anymore, you handle that for them. That has got to be such a load off of someone's back.
Absolutely. I mean, we step right into your boots and we just take right over, and the IRS is not allowed to call you or contact you. And matter of fact, in our first letter to you after you sign up, I mean, we send you this nice welcome package and say, hey, you know, the stress is off your back. We know we've got you. But in that, you get business cards of our enrolled agents that says basically, if an IRS agent, if a revenue officer shows up at your work or it calls you, or, you know, you get these letters, the first thing you do is you give them our information. And you tell them, I've got Mr. Fowler representing me. I don't need to talk to you. You call him. Here's his phone number. And you hang up the phone and you're done. That's it. And then you go, that was easy. And then
and you know
you
what,
they're
going to see, you know what you're talking about. You know, they're going to find out just after being on the phone with you for a few minutes that you and your agents know what you're doing.
Absolutely. They're going to find out I know the Internal Revenue Manual inside and out. I know their operations manual inside and out. I know what they require and what they need. I know how to basically work within their system to make it the best possible way for you and put the best possible solution in place for you. And you got to remember, you know, as much, man, I hate this, Steve, but you and I have talked about this also. I hate the fact that we got some of these large companies out there that will tell you anything you want to hear just because they know that if you hear the right words out of their mouth, you're going to go and sign with them. I mean, the best used car salesmen right now sell IRS tax relief. And, you know, they're going to sell you everything that you want and tell you anything you want to hear. And, you know, everybody falls for that pipe dream. You know, hey, it's the best thing since sliced bread. And, you know, it sounds great. And then you get into paying them, and then they want more money on top of that. And then they go, oh, well, you don't really qualify for an offer in compromise. We didn't know that up front. You know, we're just going to get you on a payment plan. Well, why do you fall for that? Because that's what you wanted to hear. It's not reality.
Well, that's why we have the show, Barry, because go ahead.
So we deal in reality. I mean, that's why, you know, I've always enjoyed doing the show here, Ask the Experts with you. And, you know, we do this because we want to get the information out there. We want intelligent, want you to be intelligent when you're selecting the company you're going to go with to provide IRS tax relief, you know, for you and your family, because that's the most important thing to you when you owe the IRS is the proper representation.
Barry, give everybody your phone number and your website.
All right. It's 888-930-1016. Again, 888-930-1016. And our website is taxationsolutions.net. You can also find us over there on Facebook. You can just look us up as Taxation Solutions. We've got offices around the country that we work with IRS wherever you guys may be, and we try to help you. So even if you got friends or family outside of, you know, the Georgia area, or the Alabama area, we help people around the country, and we do it, with full strength. And, we go at the IRS to battle them as hard as we possibly can for each one of our clients. But again, free consultation, 888-930-16. And Steve, we need to start doing like an hour show.
Barry, I got to tell you, we could easily do an hour show, and especially with TikTok. But Barry will be back again with us next month. He is my friend, and he is the best, I'm telling you. Barry, travel safe. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate it.
Love you, bro. That's Barry Fowler. We're going to go to our next expert. And I got to tell you, wow, with the weather, things that are going on, you people who have had damage done to their house, trying to deal with the insurance company and knowing that they want to pay you the least amount possible. We found the greatest public insurance adjuster. And I wanted to do a show like this, not only because we had so many people ask us to get a public insurance adjuster, but there's so many people who don't understand what a public insurance adjuster does. Let me welcome you to our friend of the show, David Meltzer. Hi, David.
Hey, Steve. How are you doing?
Doing well. You're with Property Claims Consultant. David, I got to tell you, I want everybody who's having problems with their insurance or home insurance company trying to collect, because they need a company like Property Claims Consultant. Tell everybody what you do, David.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we're a team of experts that represent the homeowners during the insurance claims. A lot of the times the people have the misconception that, my insurance adjuster from XYZ insurance company is out here and they're going to advocate for me, but they're not. I mean, their hands are tied. No. They're going through all the red tape that they have to do. And in all reality, they're taught and trained to pay what the insurance company feels is necessary. And I mean, you read any blog out there about people in insurance claims, and you're going to see how often they either underpay or deny or delay or whatever have you on these insurance claims. And so we're just on the other side of things. So we are a team of experts that are going to fight for you. And I really think it is just leveling the playing field for the regular consumer who doesn't know how to navigate the bureaucracy of the insurance land.
Hey, David, think about when a person is having problem collecting on their claims. That insurance company knows you don't know probably too much, but when property claims consultants step in, they know you know what you're talking about. There's no more beating around the bush. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, very true. Yeah, it's I tell my clients, when they reach out to us before they sign up with us, that don't necessarily mention us to the insurance company until we get involved, because the insurance company is going to say whatever they possibly can to badmouth us or have negative terminology, negative comments to say about us. Because once we get involved, we really hold their feet to the fire, and we're going to make sure that those clients are paid what they're owed. And the insurance companies truthfully dislike us a lot because we really make it difficult for them to settle and close their claim. They just want to come out, write a check to the client, be done, and move on. And you don't realize that they're only paying for half of that bathroom or half of the kitchen or some of the flooring, whatever the case is. So it's something that we come in and we're going to analyze the heck out of it. And we're going to make sure that we get every single last dollar that's available on that claim.
David, I had a phone call this morning. People knew you were coming on today. They wanted to know, what areas do you cover?
We realistically cover kind of the West Coast. Like Colorado and over. I personally am out of San Diego, but I've got team throughout California, and a lot of this can be handled, somewhat virtually, but to an extent to where my team does travel out. So I'd say about 50% of our clients are within the Southern California area, and then the rest are just within the West Coast.
We got a call from 2 calls from the Bay Area, and I was surprised they knew about the show, but now we're on TikTok and a lot more people are finding out about the show. And so you basically cover all of Southern California or all of California?
All of California.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say about 20 or 30% of our business is up in Northern California, and then about another 20, 30 is spread out throughout the other Western states.
David, as a public adjuster, and I have learned so much from you, what sort of trends are you seeing in the industry, specifically in California? Because I got to tell you something. We have a public adjuster that does our Georgia show, and the state's trying to get rid of them, and they are so important. Have you heard that?
Yeah, I don't think any trends that I've seen specifically isn't necessarily getting rid of insurance or public adjusters. What the big trends that I see right now, especially in California and some of the West Coast states, is that a lot of these major insurance companies are leaving the state. So, take California, for instance, 9 of the 12 big name insurance companies have left the state or are no longer writing policies within the state. So therefore, they have really just started to neglect and refuse to work with their existing clients when they have claims. You have ABC Insurance Company. They left the state 2 years ago, 3 years ago. They might still have 10,000, 20,000 policies here in California. And when they have a claim, they just want to get it done and move on. And then they drop that client, and then they're never, then that's one less policy in California. So they're really being a lot more restrictive on what they're paying out. They're being a lot more exclusive on the coverages that they're providing. And it's really a much more black or white type negotiation. They come in and say, no, this is what we're paying, rather than everything else around here where it's like, no, this is a negotiation. You're going to come to the table and we're going to try and settle and conclude with an amicable, settlement on this claim. So yeah, the trends that I'm seeing is just that as these insurance companies are leaving or shifting around and moving to other states, is that the states that they're leaving, they've become much more difficult to work with, and they really will fight it tooth and nail till the very, very end.
You're going to love this one. We just got a text message. This is from Orange County. They want to know, make sure I'm reading this right. What if you're not happy with your public adjuster? I have listened to 3 of your shows now, and you really seem like you know a lot more what you're doing. Can I leave the public adjuster I've been working with that I am not happy with and contact your company? Wow, that's a nice one.
I guess thank you, and respectfully, I appreciate whoever said that if they're still listening. So the answer to your question is yes and no. The state of California, they're from Orange. Did I hear you right? Orange County? See?
Yes.
So Orange County, so it's a California claim. So in the state of California, the contracts that you sign with public adjusters technically you're signed on for the duration or the lifetime of that claim. But when people come to me with that same question, which often people do, is I just say, call up your public adjuster and have a frank conversation with them. If you guys aren't getting along and there's a bickering back and forth between you and the public adjuster, or vice versa, however it is, typically if the public adjuster is a wholesome individual and just an ethical, moral person, and you think and be like, hey, Mr. Public Adjuster, I'd like to part ways and take a stab at this claim on my own or move forward in another direction. Most of the other public adjusters I know out there will release people from claims if they're not, it's just not working out. So to answer your question, I think it's just call up the public adjuster or communicate with them through text or email, however you do so, and ask them sincerely to just part ways with them. And, we can be reached here. My phone number's on the screen, or I can give it to you now. It's 760-815-3650. And that's actually just my direct cell. So, and I'd be happy to help walk you through it or give you some guidance on it as well.
Now you gotta stop having your relatives call here. No, I'm kidding you.
Yeah.
You know, what you got to do is stop being so appealing to people when you're on the show. You know, you've been doing this for a long time, David, and I am so in awe of what your company does when it comes to public adjusters. Can you like share an example of like a complex claim that you handled that you had success with?
Yeah, there's a couple that come to mind. I guess most recently was a bigger commercial property that we helped out. It was a client, he owns an apartment complex. And commercial properties can often be a little bit more complicated when it comes to the application of policy language and policy within the insurance company and how it applies to the claim itself. And what ended up happening is there was a huge pipe burst that flooded two apartment units and 3 commercial spaces. So it was kind of a mixed use apartment complex. And the insurance company originally denied it, and they had denied it 9 months prior to our involvement. And then when we got involved, we figured out that actually the cause of loss was a homeless person or a transient that broke into the property and then flushed building debris down a toilet on one of the top floor units, which ended up causing the pipe burst. And so this specific pipe, when it burst, it was a drain line pipe, and it burst and impacted those the 3 commercial units and the 2 residential units. But it was about $1 million in damages, and we got that claim overturned, and we're still fighting for the fair settlement. But the client went from pretty much $0 payout to now in the hundreds of thousands of dollars as a direct result of our involvement. They had been fighting it for about 9 months prior to us getting involved. So it's just something to be mindful of, and it's something here that we pride ourselves on, is knowing the ins and outs of what policies cover what and being as detail oriented as possible, because there are little things like that where maybe the policy excludes water break, drain line leaks or floods, but there is coverage for vandalism or malicious mischief. And so that was the coverage that we were able to explore and get coverage on this building.
I bet they were happy.
Very happy. Yeah. I mean, very unhappy prior to us getting involved, and now they're very happy. Absolutely. I mean,
yes,
can you imagine how happy to, you have an apartment complex and you think that your insurance company's there to help you out, and you're in hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars into the damages and the repairs. Insurance company just says, no, have a nice day. So yeah, it's very frustrating. And, they were trying to reach out to the insurance company. They just stopped responding to our client prior to our involvement.
Here's another listener really enjoying the show. Does your company work with associations like HOA and condo associations?
Yeah, we do. We actually love working with condo associations because they're really complex. And often when you're working with homeowners associations, you have multiple unit owners impacted as well. And when that happens, you potentially have, let's say, for instance, there's 3 units impacted and some hallways of the HOA. What happens is now you've got potentially 3 insurance companies for the unit owners as well as the HOA insurance company. And so juggling 1 insurance company can be a pain in the butt, but juggling 4 insurance companies can definitely be very complex. And if you don't go about it in somewhat of a organized fashion, they just end up, bickering at each other, and then they come back to you and say, "Oh no, that's this person's insurance, not our insurance." So yeah, we actually love working with HOAs and unit owners because it is something that we really can provide true value for.
Hey, David, is public insurance adjusting, is that a good profession to go into?
I have found a kind of like a spiritual calling for it, if you want to say, without going down this religious route. But I think the spiritual fulfillment from when you give people hope when it comes to these insurance claims. People call us and say, my claim was, they paid me $5,000, but my entire house is torn apart, or my claim was denied, or whatever the case is. And we give them a sense of hope to be able to rebuild their home again. And so the relationship that I have with my clients here versus the relationship I had with my clients working for the insurance company years ago is completely different. You know, these people become friends and family, and I get holiday cards from them, I get birthday cards from them, because the impact that we had on their life was so meaningful, and was able to allow them to, you know, put maybe their childhood home back together.
Well, you know, I was wondering the other day, do people really know what their policies say?
No, and it's a frustrating part, because insurance companies even get a little remarked about it too. Like, they get a little smart, because they say, well, you should be reading your policy. But actually, if you go back and look at your most recent policy, let's say, for instance, you lived in the same home for 10 years. The only time you get a full copy of that policy was the day you closed on that property. Every year after that, if you renewed with the same insurance company, they just send you a blanket kind of like title page that says, hey, this is your new premium. These might be your new coverages, but they don't give you that full policy. So we'll run into people and say, well, I've had the same insurance company. You know, let's say, for instance, let's just call it ABC Insurance Company. You know, they're like, I closed on my house in, 2001, and I've been with the same insurance company since then. And then they'll send me, oh, here's my policy. It's 3 pages long. I'm like, well, no, that's not the full policy. And then they go back to, 2023, not this full policy. And I tell them, I'm like, look, the last time you probably got a full copy of your policy from your insurance company was not until 2001 when you first purchased it. So it's troublesome, because it's difficult to get a copy of that full policy.
Well, it's really sad that people don't know what their policy says. We just had someone write, we are really enjoying the show. David, you got to have all your relatives stop calling here. No, I'm kidding you. No, they want to know, what if you settle, but you weren't happy with the settlement? Can you go back in?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we do pretty much every time we get involved. It sometimes may depend on if they signed a financial settlement, typically in the first party property world. So if it was damages to your home by something that happened to your home, a wind event, a flood, a fire, or whatever it is, typically you never actually sign a release, is what they call it, or a settlement. The insurance company just says, hey, here's X dollars. Hopefully you go away. So sort of revisiting or reopening that dialogue for discussion and negotiation is really always on the table, as long as you can present additional facts. So the big kind of answer to that question that they ask is, can you reopen the claim or reopen the settlement after they've discussed settlement or kind of conclusion on the claim? And my answer to that is yes, you can, as long as you can present facts to the claim that substantiates or supports additional payouts on the claim.
You know, we're coming towards the end of the show. I've got a question, and you'll know what this means, David. I don't know if anyone else would. I think from hearing you talk, you're a believer, and I think that is wonderful. Why should I hire your company?
We're here for you. And I think the big thing is that my team's really there for our clients. And sometimes it's really, it's that empathetic person on the other side that really sees what you're going through. And actually, most of my team have experienced it. A lot of these guys on my team became public adjusters because they had claims at their house too. So they know what it's like to come down every morning from a good night's sleep to see your kitchen torn apart and be reminded that you're going through this insurance claim, or be, relocated from the house your children grew up with because you're still in a dispute with the insurance company. So I think it's finding someone who can really see and give clear understanding of what you're going through and put themselves in your shoes and realize that it's never that you're going to be, it's going to throw everything off. Now you've got to drive an extra 2 miles to drop your kids off at school, or maybe they can't get to the YMCA where they do daycare or something like that. And that's what we're here for, to try and find ways around this. And we know that it's a very difficult situation to go through, and we're here for that. I can speak to our financial success and everything else that we do when it comes to the actual outcome of the claim. But I think the big thing that I see with my team is that, we're really here for our clients, and we're looking out for their best interests and their family's interests.
Customer service is very important to you, isn't it?
It really is, yeah. And it's been something that I've really created as a value, a top value within my organization since we started, and really focusing on that client, because it's something I've gone through it as well. I've gone through insurance claims as well. It's a terrible process.
David, how do people get a hold of you?
You can find us in many different ways. So the company, again, is called Property Claims Consultant. Consultant is singular, claims is plural. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, or on our website. My direct phone number is 760-815-3650. And I'll say it just, I guess, one more time. 760-815-3650. And we're here available and ready to help walk you through anything that you may need, or really just kind of bounce some ideas off. We're absolutely here.
You know what? I tell people about your show, write the phone number down, because in your business, you never know what's going to happen. Yeah. I mean, you could have an emergency at your house or your business tomorrow, and you're going to go, why didn't I write that phone number down? So one more time, let's give out that phone number.
Yeah, it's 760-815-3650. It's the phone number you wish you had, but hope you never have to use.
Yeah, no kidding. David, I love doing the show with you. I love your business. And David will be back with us again next month. Thanks for all the people who wrote in. And we will be back again with you next week with more Ask the Experts. Thanks, David.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.